Yeah, the sweet life to start the show. FT Live at Rays Camp. Scotty Braun, Erik Kratz, Kevin Pillar, and President of Baseball Ops, Erik Neander. Erik, great to have you on. Thanks for joining us right at the top for the headliner. How you doing?
How about it? Not my usual spot, Scott. Thanks for having me. Kratzy, good to see you. KP, good to see you.
Good to see you too.
Yeah.
You're the main man today. All right, so first off, tell me what's going on there. You've got camp, you've got the World Baseball Classic going on. What's the first few weeks like for you, and how is it different from the past few years?
Yeah, I mean, good energy. We've had some turnover with the roster, but we've also got Cammy on his way up, Aranda off the All-Star year last year, McClanahan healthy back. Good vibes, good energy, and WBC years had a lot of fun too. So we got some guys out there doing their thing. It's been fun to watch them, add some energy to the game, brings a little more excitement to opening day, and it's all good. Good time to be a fan of baseball.
Yeah, on that topic, first spring training with the new ownership group, how's that relationship been? And do you expect to see anything different from the Rays moving forward?
Yeah, hopefully a new stadium is different. Yeah, here they've been great. They've been wonderful. Been really fortunate. Stu Sternberg, our prior ownership group, was great to us. Had a lot of success, but there's still business to accomplish. We're still chasing that first championship. We're trying to get our future secured here locally. New stadium, all that. New ownership group: Patrick Zalewski, Bill Cosgrove, Ken Babby. They're working tirelessly to try to get that done. Looks like they're making some real progress, and hopefully we can get that secured and continue to build from there. But it's exciting for sure.
When the new ownership group came in, how much conversation about winning a championship was on their side of the table?
Yeah, I mean, for us, and we've been here a long time. You were here in 19. We've won a lot of games. We haven't been able to take that final step. That's what all this is about. And to have reassurances from them, how important that is to them, is big, right? Getting a new stadium, development, et cetera, that's a way to generate more revenue that can be put back into the team. And we do this because we want to win. We want to support players that want to win. We want to play our small part. And, these are people that are coming in here, like I said, to try to take this franchise to the next level. We've had a lot of success. We've got more to do. And by all accounts, everything they've said, their intentions very much are aligned with ours, that's a goal. That championship is a goal that we all have, and we want to accomplish sooner rather than later.
Can you tell us how that would look different than in 2020 when you guys made it to the World Series?
Yeah.
Like, how would you go back now when you guys are on the precipice, like truly there, and say, okay, this is how we're going to win a championship, not just be a winning team, because you guys have mastered being a winning team. How would you change that? What's the different step that you would take?
Yeah, like I think we spent a lot of time thinking about that. I mean, compared to 20, just playing those games at home and in front of a packed home crowd would be nice. But that was the bigger things going on at that point. We made the most of it. I think, look, the Dodgers just won a World Series with 2/4 of their rotation being guys that really established themselves in the big leagues here. I think just a chance for greater talent retention over time is something you hope for, and not just for the talent, but the experiences, right? When there's a constant churn, that's something that's been a necessity to find ways to compete and to solve for winning as many games as we can. But continuity is important. That's never been lost on us. We just don't always have the option to do everything we want. But the continuity, having guys grow up here, having them have those experiences, getting those big stages, getting comfortable with them, and then breaking through, that you just have more options, with more revenue, with more stadium, et cetera. So we're learning and listening to a lot of people that have actually accomplished it. We haven't. So we're hesitant to have all the answers when it comes to that, but we're continuing to try to do our best. And great players, great makeup, great culture, and somehow, some way, try to get over the top.
Yeah, speaking of your guys' success over the last, decade, felt like you guys were a team that was always ahead of the curve in terms of trying to win the margins and evaluate players, and certain players that other teams didn't value and certain things teams didn't value. Do you feel like that gap has closed a little bit, or do you feel like you guys are maybe years ahead of where teams have just gotten to now?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to say. This is my 20th year here. It's all I really know, right? So we've had players that have been here that have played other places. Don't spend a ton of time sizing up kind of where we are. We just know we've got to get better. When we've had success, we've got to get better. When we haven't, we've got to get better. I think that's always there. We try to do the best we can to understand the relationships between winning baseball individually and collectively, and what those are, and make sure we have as good an understanding as possible as we can, and that we're continuing to get better. And we lean on our players. We care about them. We care for them. We try to do everything we can. The payroll disparities, they are what they are, right? But the care, the effort, the support behind the scenes, that's something that we can compete there. And as far as I'm concerned, as long as I'm here and we're here, we're going to make sure that we're at the top of the board when it comes to those aspects. And that's part of having a winning club, a winning culture, and winning expectations.
When I was there, one of the things that Cashy told me was, everybody has a voice in the room when you guys talk about something. Like, we're going to try it. Can you tell us the most crazy thing? You don't have to say who it was. The craziest thing, because one of the days I was there, we worked on a pickoff to third when it's an automatic first and third, and the guy's going to steal, and we were timing it to see how quickly you could do it if it was possible with our pitching staff. What's the craziest thing that you guys have said, we're going to try it, even though it never made it into the game?
Oh man, we've got a lot of good ones. The 2-strike bunts, why not? All sorts of stuff. Have you guys been to Washington's camp yet?
Yes.
Tell me.
Yes.
Darn it. So Ani Kalambi, who's the GM now, he was a big advocate of one catcher out of postseason roster, right? You got your off days, ride with one, expand your roster some other way, give it a go. That one would have been up there. That's for sure. I don't think we'd ever have the courage to roll with one. And, usually your lead guy takes the lion's share of the work, but if he goes down, we didn't want to think about that one. But that was one. When you circle back to Washington, ask Ani about that one. I'm pointing it to him.
When you're here in camp and you have young guys like Carson Williams and you have guys, on the brink of the major leagues, are there certain things you're looking for them, check boxes, or when it comes down to making a decision, you just look them in the eyes and you just know if they're ready or not?
Yeah, you never know if someone's truly ready until they get there and they do it, right? But I think for me, for Cashy, for our staff, any young player that's yet to experience the major leagues, you never assume they're ready, right? You've lived it, Kratz, you've lived it. Like, you don't know you're ready. You got to get in it. You got to experience it. And Carson, much like Cammy the year before, having some experience, we weren't where we wanted to be in the standings last August, September. But with that, you can give some opportunity to younger players just to find their footing and to gather a lot of feedback. And it's learning, it's growing. I don't think it's necessarily a switch that's flipped. Carson, by having those opportunities last year, having those struggles, being in the lineup most days, I think it made its offseason a lot more productive. He appreciated not just coaches telling him what he needed to work on, but getting that firsthand feedback. And I think as long as the growth and that kind of feedback loop as a player, you're getting what you need to know what you have to do to improve and to do it with urgency. That's all we're trying to do. And accepting that when you're a young player, it's hard, right? And not asking too much of them too soon. Last year with Cammy, we tried to manage expectations out of the gates. Last year at 45 homers, I don't know what that looks like this year, but building a team where young players don't have to do too much. They can find their confidence, they can find that sense of belonging, and then they can elevate their game.
Yeah, I think that was the beauty of the expanded rosters before too. And I got my start kind of because of the expanded rosters and the team not doing well down the stretch, but it was invaluable experience for me to go up there and especially fail, because up until that point I hadn't really failed. So me getting my feet wet in the big leagues, getting used to the surroundings, getting used to the teammates, but ultimately failing kind of really motivated me in the offseason, and honestly getting around the hitting department, the team, they gave me things to work on. It was guided. So, that was invaluable for me.
Yeah, no, it's huge. And we try and you have to have those experiences. You have to have the peer-to-peer influence in that perspective is so important, even in camp, right? This is a lower stress environment compared to September, but it's still important to make sure these guys are learning as much as they can, as quickly as they can, not from coaches, not from myself, but from people that are doing it with them and have done what they've done and what they're trying to do. It's critical.
Is that easier in Tampa? Because you look at other organizations and you go, well, they have 7 of the 8 guys are on a $20 million contract. It's so hard to plug in a young player. Do you feel like it's easier for you guys to give that runway and allow your evaluators to say, you give him 200 at-bats in the big leagues, he's going to figure it out? If you're joining a playoff team that has veterans, it's harder, correct?
Yeah, look, without question, I think Jonathan Aranda, made an all-star team last year, is being highlighted with Team Mexico now. It was kind of the tail end of his third year of getting major league opportunity where it finally clicked late in 2024. 2023 got a little, or I'm sorry, 22 got a little, 23 got a little, and finally in 24, it just kind of happened one day late in the year where it clicked. And I think just staying with guys, look, every situation's different. For us, we try to do everything we can to playing Major League Baseball it's stressful enough as it is. We try to do everything we can behind the scenes, family, whatever it might be, to reduce the stress as much as we can, so these guys can just go play baseball, and we can be patient with them. And really, frankly, at times we don't have a choice. We've got to, right? We've got to stick with them. We got to get behind them, and as long as enough of them reward you, and we've been really fortunate to have players that have here, good things happen, and that was the case with someone like Aranda and many others.
I want you to talk about the Brandon Lowe trade, but not just the physical, you traded him to the Pirates and you got back prospects. Think about when he first broke into the big leagues, and most people in the big leagues didn't know about him. And then he signed his extension with the Rays. And he was a guy that really, for Rays fans, has been the guy. Fans have gone and said, hey, you know what? I want to buy a Brandon Lowe jersey. I love watching him hit his home runs. He has been a Ray for so long. How does that change that process? But also then when you're going to the teams, how much are you talking to Brandon about that, because he's going to be a free agent after this upcoming season?
I lost my Kratzy. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
All right.
Yeah.
I at least heard the beginning of that. I don't have anything in my ear, but just on Brandon, and I'm going to try to fill in the rest of what I think you probably were getting to. Those decisions are incredibly difficult. It's, at top of my job description somewhere is the responsibility to win baseball games, and with that comes difficult decisions. But part of how we try to win baseball games is really investing in our players and people that are here. I have vivid memories of going back to the draft, and Brandon had an injury coming around first base at Maryland. Had him slide a little bit in the draft to where we took him in the third round, and just his whole career, that whole journey. You get to know these people, you invest in them, you care for them, you play a small part in helping them, all their professional dreams come true. And certainly his did. Saw him hit 39 homers, saw him hit 30 plus last year. Him, Madison, not just their contributions to the team, but the community, things they've done with mental health, et cetera. Like it all matters. These are people first before they're players, and you really care for them. You have to, at the end of the day, make the decisions you believe are best for the club, but they don't get easier. We're gonna miss him in more ways that I could describe here in a few minutes. But to keep this train running over time, we felt like it was a decision we need to make. But like I said, they don't get easier. They're incredibly difficult decisions, and the day they're not difficult or you don't feel that emotion is the day someone else needs to be doing this job.
Hey, all right, I'm gonna. KP, did you want to go, or I'll jump in for a couple?
No, go ahead.
Okay. All right. So first off, Erik, I know you mentioned this towards the top of the interview. Where are we at with the stadium? I live somewhat close. I want to know. Am I getting a new park in 4 or 5 years? What do we got?
Yeah. I'm hopeful. I live near the stadium, a potential site myself. We are. I'm not in the nitty gritty of it, but I see you guys rolling some film here from some work that's been done recently. Ken Babby, our CEO, is on the front line of trying to make this happen. The stated goal of opening in 2029. Y'all have seen enough stadiums built throughout the game. If we're opening this thing in 2029, that means some things need to get figured out here pretty soon, over the next several months. So we appreciate the energy, the commitment to trying to figure this out, the urgency behind it. That's welcome. This has been something as a franchise we've been after for a long time. It's been a cloud of uncertainty that's been hanging over this organization. I think, it could really help elevate us just to have it put to bed. So I know they're working tirelessly at it. They're listening to the community, listening to our fans, and seems like there's a lot of positive momentum. Want to do my part to make sure this team's ready to go play competitive baseball and win baseball games wherever we're playing. And as long as we're doing that, we'll only help those efforts to get something done. But I know they're working at it. We appreciate it, and hopefully we're getting close.
Hey, I'm going to ask the fan question that probably pops up frequently, because the Rays have done a really nice job of putting together competitive teams. Do things change in terms of spending if the ballpark comes to fruition the way that everyone hopes it does? And also, does that change even leading up to it with a new ownership group in trying to get set up for that?
Sure. Look, there's only one way to find out, right? It's to get this ballpark done and get the development on its way. I think that's the hope, right? That's the belief. And we'll see how things go over time. But the reason that you hope a new stadium, surrounding development, everything that comes with it, that a significant part of that is revenue generation that can be put back into the club. I've heard Patrick talk publicly his opening comments. I've heard Ken talk endlessly about it. The desire, is to create more revenue and to put that back in the club to create a stronger product, right? A product that is more desirable for our fans, for our community, and hopefully leads to that first championship. So, that's kind of the goal. That's been the goal for just an assortment of reasons over time. We haven't quite been able to line it up, but hopefully that's something around the corner here. And like I said, we've had a lot of success. We've been really fortunate to have great players. But, I think for us to truly level up, this will be a big part of it.
You talked about the importance of guys getting around other guys and peer-to-peer support. Recently hired Kevin Kiermaier to come back. How important do you think he's going to be to the organization, and how important do you think it is to have former Rays coming back and helping these guys out in camp?
Yeah, I think it's, kind of what we talked about earlier, right? It's like I can't put myself in their position, right? I can listen to people that have done what you've done, what Erik has done, what other players here have done. And someone like Kiermaier, not only has he done it, he's done it here, right? He grew up here. He was a 30th something round pick. That whole journey, most of the guys in our clubhouse, especially right now, have been passed over, have had some sort of, adversity in their career, that they have survived and they've come out the other side, and we see some belief in them. And, KK, someone's lived that journey, he's lived it here. So to have resources like him that are around that give back to our players, I think it's incredibly helpful to, you talk about a lot with young players. You look back 3, 5, 7 years, these lists, I have them, for my job, but man, I wish I had known that 2 years ago. I wish I had known that 5 years ago. I wish this was a priority 10 years ago. There's only, one of the biggest ways to accelerate that and shrink that list is having someone like him around, that's done it and cares about these guys and wants to give back. Corey Dickerson, our first base coach, he played here. He had those experiences. He's been unbelievable, with that in mind here in the early going. So look, it's about players. Like I said, we play our small part in helping them find success and to fulfill their dreams individually and collectively. And, the guys that have done it are a huge part of helping the next generation find their way to doing it as well.
Did you see the Randy Arozarena, Cal Raleigh thing last night?
I picked it up this morning.
Okay.
I got a little more to check out on that one, but I did happen to see it. Yeah.
You know, Randy, basically you saw what happened. He went to shake Cal's hand, his teammate, and the whole conversation we've talked about, you talk about the people. You talk about the people inside that room. You knowing Randy, you don't know Cal, but if that happened and it was in your clubhouse for the regular season, right now it's in the WBC, how would you have handled it? Or how would you handle that?
Oh, yeah, that's a good one. Well, I'd start by getting a full picture of what went down. I'm watching it now. I saw a few clips. I have no idea. I might have 10% of the picture right now. I might have all of them. I'm not quite sure. I certainly would start by understanding the entirety of what went down. But look, they're men, they're adults. You understand the competitive situation. They're not teammates right now. They're competing against each other. You just try to build as much of an understanding for what went on, who was thinking what, why they were thinking it. But knowing Randy, a motivated Randy, a locked in Randy is a scary Randy. So I certainly wouldn't mind that part of it, to the extent that anything winds up Randy. Usually good things happen on the field thereafter. So I'd certainly take that part. Think the world of Randy.
Hey, if he goes off the rest of the tournament, Erik, then, that's going to happen regularly, right? Like, Cal's going to tell every catcher, or he's going to pretend he's the catcher every game and be like, just kidding, just to get him pissed off. Whatever works, right? Whatever motivates.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, we really appreciate the hangout. Thank you for stopping by. We love the hat too. Back-to-back years. It gets a lot of pub from the fans, so thank you for doing that. We like the outfit. We like it.
I appreciate it. My head's too big to wear. I wish I could wear hats like KP's here. I just can't, so I get stuck with this thing, which
what size?
Doesn't really fit either. Large. It's
But
it's an 8.
what size
it's the
are
depth.
you? Yeah.
It's an 8, depending on the hat, but it's the depth. They don't come down far enough. So, Kratz, what do you got? You got a good
I got
size.
7 5/8, but it's
all right.
It's fine.
I can't pull them down far enough. That's the problem.
Big brains.
That's
Big
right.
brain.
That's right. A lot of empty space up there.
Exactly. Erik, really appreciate it. Great to talk to you.
Thank
Good
you,
luck
guys.
this season.
All right. I appreciate it. Thanks.
That's Erik Neander.
Thanks,
Be right back. Hey, we're back. Okay, so let's charge and get into this at least while we can, and then we'll bring some other Rays guests on from camp there. But let's charge now.
Charging the mound.
We are charging the mound. It's presented by Fox One. That's where you can watch every single World Baseball Classic game. We did a post-game show after watching Team USA against Mexico last night. And we actually didn't, I don't know if we covered this or maybe we did for 5 seconds, but to me, the story really escalates when you do get an answer from Randy Arozarena after Cal Raleigh says, nah, I don't want to shake your hand. So, Kratz, let me get your perspective ASAP, please. What did you think when you saw it? And what did you think of Randy's reply afterward? I'll drop that in there pretty early on here. But first, let me get your reply just from the on-field perspective before we find out Randy is pissed off. Unless he's just completely putting on his best WWE heel performance, it did sound like he actually felt as if his teammate with the Mariners should give him a little love before his AB, and Cal said, hell no. There's also some out there that are trying to throw like the whole, catchers don't want to get any like pine tar on their hand kind of situation, and you're a former catcher, and that felt like eyewash. So just help us out with everything here.
I'll tell you exactly where I'm at with this. I loved it from both sides. Randy doesn't need to be happy about it. Maybe he felt like he was disrespected, shown up, whatever it is. Cal doesn't need to shake his hand. Like there's so many examples. I was in that room. I was in the Team USA room, not for WBC, but when you put that jersey on, you have conversations for the week, 2 weeks leading up to the games. And the conversation is not about, oh man, it's going to be so great to swap jerseys and oh man, we're going to go play Mexico, and guys, it doesn't matter. It's just going to be fun. No, they want to win. They want to sweep through the pool play. They want to win every game after that and raise the trophy at the end. Like that's the conversation. And so you do have to have a certain mindset as a catcher. And he didn't do anything harmful to Randy. Maybe Randy's pissed off about it based on his comments, which we'll get to. But to me, it reminds me a lot of, and maybe KP will hit it a little bit because we talked about it pre-show, Kobe Bryant ran through Paul Gasol in one of the Team USA basketball games. Now, he ran him over on a pick, and people were like, whoa, you do that to one of your teammates? Cal just did that to one of his teammates. He didn't physically harm him, but it was definitely a show of, no, like, it's fine that we're teammates during the regular season. That's not what this is. And this shows me, this event, and I wish AJ was on today, shows me it's more than an exhibition. The guys take it more importantly than an exhibition because they want to win. They want to win ultimately at the end, but they also understand and respect the history of playing for Team USA. And they also know Mexico's freaking beaten them the last 3 times. So I definitely see this as something that was premeditated, not malicious, but also understanding that the rest of the team understands this is time to lock in. I think Will Smith did it maybe last WBC, if I'm not mistaken.
Did, with Randy.
Yeah. They don't need to. It doesn't mean that Cal hates Randy. Doesn't mean that they're going to have a terrible clubhouse in Seattle. No, not at all. That's not what it means.
I'm good with everything you said, except when you do get a player emotionally voicing his displeasure after the game, you do feel like there's more to it. So let's run that, and then we'll get KP's thoughts. Randy Arozarena post-game, translated and written by Master Flip, who's been great covering the WBC. Here's Randy. How do you think I should respond to Cal Raleigh? How should I put it to him? I want to say it in 4 languages. First in Spanish. The only thing he should be thankful for is having such great parents. He's very well educated. Thank God I was lucky enough to see them a few days ago at the hotel. They came over to greet me, gave me a big hug, and were genuinely proud to see me again. After that, I went to give it to him straight Cuban style. What he has to do is F off. Mexican style, go to hell. English, that fake ass good to see you he hit me with, he can shove it straight up his ass. I'm out. KP, to me, now it's on. I mean, if you get called out like that, unless you think he's completely kidding, wouldn't you be like, hey, dude, we got a problem?
Yeah, Randy's a hard guy to read because he's very charismatic on the field and he likes to have fun. Is this serious? I don't know. I think we need to kind of wait and let Cal kind of respond to what's going on. And obviously, when he gets to the field today, there's going to be reporters there going to ask him this question. We're going to figure out what Cal's side of the story was. But I do want to touch base on what Kratz was talking about because obviously, huge Kobe Bryant fan. Let me paint the picture a little bit. This is a 2008 gold medal game. Before that, the Lakers, Pau Gasol and Kobe Bryant just won an NBA title together. Much like this scenario where this happened 3 years ago when Randy Arozarena tried to shake Will Smith's hand, the team probably talked about this very scenario with Cal and said, hey, look it, we are no longer teammates. Go back to that 2008 Olympic game. Kobe Bryant and his teammates have talked about obviously watching film. They knew the first play of the game was going to be this, this high pick and roll. Pau was going to set the screen. Kobe talks about it. He said, I'm going to run through his fucking chest because I'm going to set a tone that we are no longer teammates. We are no longer brothers. I'm wearing the USA on my chest. My brothers are the guys that are wearing this uniform. After this tournament is over, we can be brothers and family again. But I think it is so great for the sport that, like Kratz said too, this is no longer exhibition. These players want to go and represent their countries and they want to win. I think we have seen it from so many other countries throughout this tournament. The Dominicans, the Venezuelans, the Puerto Ricans, Team Japan, they've typically put their best foot forward and it means so much to them. I think everything that's happened to the USA over the last couple of WBCs and being able to kind of unite this super team led by Aaron Judge going out and recruiting the best players in the game and the Paul Skeens and the Tarek Skubals, this means a lot to them. And for them to go out and have that moment just shows how competitive these guys are. Is this something that's going to linger? Hopefully not. I just think so much in today's game is, yes, we are a fraternity of brothers. No matter what team you play on in Major League Baseball, we understand how fortunate we are, how lucky we are. Do we have friends in other teams? And a lot of us come from different organizations and play in different organizations. And throughout the entirety of the season, it's very easy to go out there and want to catch up with your friends because the baseball season is so long. You see that a little bit less in the postseason in the major leagues because that's when the intensity really turns up. And in pool play and then ultimately in elimination, I don't think you're going to see a lot of fraternizing moving forward.
Cool. Great points. The only thing I'll correct you on is apparently the Lakers lost to the Celtics before that 2008 gold medal game, and then they won the next 2 years. So it seems like they got along just fine afterward. Some people are already in code red mode, Kratz. Like, oh, do they have to trade Randy? How's it going to be? Like, how will they ever get along coming up for this season? So what do you think?
I mean, Randy had a four WAR from last season. He was a major part of that team moving forward. He's going to be in his last year before free agency. No, this isn't like you can play, you can talk smack, you can, maybe Cal feels like, hey, he went too far, but you can do all those things and then you can come back together and you can have a amicable relationship for the season. Just like both of those teams are putting their heart and effort into their team right now, Randy with Mexico, Cal with US, they're going to do the same thing when they go back to the Mariners. To me, it's immature and sophomoric if they both hold out. Oh, did you hear what he said about me? Oh, that's unbelievable. And the real man, the real people who step up, the great teammates, if they're offended, they go to each other and they have that conversation once the WBC is over. Benji Heel, the manager, already said it. He's like, we want to see US again. And I think it's going to be a different outcome. Mexico's not afraid of the big bad United States. And the United States isn't trying to be friends with Mexico. So I love it. I love it because it's a good look into actually what goes on. And those conversations are definitely being had. Cal's not out on an island and his other teammates are going, oh, I can't believe he did that. They're like, yeah, heck yeah, Cal.
I got one comment that came to me. Cole said you can be competitive without being a dick. Sam said, do you speak Spanish, Scott? Seems crazy to me you're making all these assumptions when you have to get his response translated to you. He's smiling in the interview. It's clearly a bit. I've said multiple times, unless he's kidding. And yes, I do not speak fluent Spanish. I speak Spanglish. There is the comment, by the way. The only thing I will say, in today's world, if you are kidding, usually you want to just give us at least a little bit, like a, and I say that in jest, or I'm messing around, but do we think he's kidding, or do we think he's in his game mode right now? Like, nah, this is the enemy territory right now. And he said he's the enemy, so now I'm going to say he's the enemy. Is he trying to get traded? No, I don't think so.
He's not getting traded, no.
Well, maybe he's like, you know what, I want to get traded to, I don't know, a team with an easier ballpark for him to hit in. I'm joking. It's clearly serious from Julian. He gave 4 responses. There was no room for misinterpretation. All right, well, let's get to our next guest, actually, because we can ask him about this as well. So let's go back to the site of Rays Camp. KP is there. Nick Martinez is there as well. Nick, it's great to have you on the show, man. How you doing?
Yeah, great, man. Thanks for having me. Doing awesome.
Hey, so we'll get into your life, Rays world, all of that, but this is like the hot story of the minute. This is why we do this show. This stuff's fun, and you played for Team USA. What do you got for me on Cal Raleigh not shaking with Randy Arozarena? That happened last time WBC with Will Smith, and then the response.
I think I'm for it, man, because it's USA versus Mexico, obviously a pretty heated rivalry. So there's going to be some gamesmanship there. I pitched against Mexico, and it didn't go great for me, but it's such a playoff, and the atmosphere was unbelievable. So I think we were talking about it a little bit earlier. It was like if you saw USA and Canada hockey kind of dabbing each other up or being friends. Even though this was not a gold medal game, it's USA versus Mexico, 2 powerhouses of that division, of that pool play. So it's
All right, so take us into that locker room. Sorry, I froze there for a sec. Take us into the locker room about the things that are talked about. Because my explanation was, you're talking constantly as Team USA about not being these guys' friends. Who cares if it's your teammates? What are the things that you heard and the team talked about when you were on the WBC team?
I think I don't know if I don't remember us single-handedly pointing, one country out or anything, but it was definitely, the vibe was, we're playing for our country. We have this honor to wear this jersey, and, we want to do our best to represent it and focus on USA, right? And we're trying to win a gold medal for USA. So it's not a matter of just singling any country out. It's more of how playing together and trying to, make something special happen.
Yeah, let's get back to Rays Camp here. How excited you to be here? You strike me as a guy who's always wanting to strive to be better and learn. With the Rays very attractive to come sign here in the offseason?
Yeah, for that reason, right? They have an amazing reputation in getting guys better, communicating their playing for cash. I've heard great things about him. Working with Snide has been great already, and he's got a great reputation. So it was very exciting to join an organization that has that reputation of, especially with the older pitchers, to get them back to their, highest performance level.
What did they tell you in the offseason when they're making that pitch? Say, you know what, hey, this is what we see, or what was talked about that made you finally make the decision to go to Tampa?
Yeah, that they had the tools available to help me get back on track to the best version of myself, right? They were able, and they knew how to communicate that and show me. And, I'm very confident in that I'm with the right, I'm going to have some direction and how to be successful. So I feel like as players, you give us direction and we can accomplish whatever that objective is. And so we were able to do it, get into the big leagues. That was our main focus. And then throughout the big leagues, in the beginning, you're trying to survive and you may be left not knowing how to be successful. And then once you learn how to be successful, now it's just a game of adjustments and how you can kind of stay relevant and stay ahead of the curve. And I feel like I'm in a great place for that.
Yeah, a little easier decision knowing they're playing in the Trop instead of the spring training facility. And also, you talked about your journey a little bit too. Tell us a little bit about your journey, how you had to go pitch overseas and be able to come back, what you've learned about yourself, maybe things that you learned, going overseas to pitch, because we're obviously seeing a lot of guys go over there and come back and have a ton of success.
Yeah, it's been a wild roller coaster for me, man. I'm super grateful that, for my time in Japan and having gone over there. For me, it was a chance and an opportunity to work on my craft at a high enough level where, at the time when I went, I felt like, and I still think it's true, where teams value the success in Japan more than they value success in AAA. And I never viewed myself as a depth guy, and I was kind of labeled, I got non-tendered my first year going to ARB, and so I was, kind of labeled as just a depth guy, someone that can, be reliable in the big leagues, but maybe we be on the DFA train or be in AAA and kind of use them however, whenever we see fit. And I've always, obviously, I'm going to believe more in myself, and so I wanted to kind of shake that label. And going to Japan, was an opportunity for me to show that, and I was able to do that over there.
Worked out.
Yeah, it worked out. Yeah.
What's the biggest takeaway pitching wise that you took from Japan that you still lean on today?
Yeah, over there, you have to stay locked in every pitch. And I know people say that here at this level, obviously, just over there, it's like it's death by 1,000 cuts. They're trying to clog the bases. They're trying to make your, jack up your pitch count, and make you work for every out. And so at that time in my career, I obviously lacked that. And so just being able to know mentally that I had the mental fortitude to keep going helped a lot here when I got back. And it's just a matter of, as soon as you get punched in the face or in the mouth, you punch back and keep going. And then overall, my first 3-4 years in the big leagues were the last few were a lot of up and down, and it's kind of a mental grind doing that. You start to lose the passion for playing a little bit, and so just going to Japan reignited that passion for me, reignited that fire, and I haven't let go of that since I've been playing over there. It was a nice, refreshing reminder of, why I play this game, and I'm just, kind of chasing that feeling the whole time.
Is that what's allowed you to be so okay with going from starting to bullpen, just doing whatever they ask because you love the game so much? And is it still difficult because you view yourself as a starter?
Yeah, so it's something that I've done basically my whole career, where I've done both, and I've always viewed myself as a starter. And even when I came back from Japan, I thought, when I first signed with the Padres, I wanted to be a starter. I thought, that's what, they signed me as. And in that first year, that contract, I get moved to the pen. And it wasn't always easy. It took until, even the middle of 23 for me to really embrace it. Because there were, I'm always down for anything. But if there was, with the Padres, if there was a need where I felt like I can help out and I was doing something else, it was starting, that part mentally would get a little harder. But it's all about like switching your focus on like why you're doing it. If we're trying to win ball games, and I don't care what role I'm doing, so if it's the first or ninth, if I have the ball and this team's focus is winning ball games, I don't care, at what point I get the baseball. I just want to help us win. So and especially as I'm getting older, I'm getting less and less chances to win a World Series. So I just want to get on it, World Series run and see what happens.
Are you able to convey that in free agency? Because I know we hear some guys are like, yeah, they wanted me, but it's kind of be more that swing role, fifth starter back in it. Was that conveyed when you were talking to teams? And was there a chance you could have gone somewhere else had they been more like solidified in being in the starting rotation or that focus on winning?
Yeah, so I think for me, the focus on winning is most important. And then I just communicate that, I did it with Cash. I do it with, I did it with the Reds. If our focus is winning, I'll do whatever you need me to do. And I think that's, we convey that message in spring, in I'm sorry, in free agency. and and throughout the year. I mean, if we're getting on a run and the team needs me to bounce back and forth, I'm open to whatever. Just winning ball games is my #1 priority, and so whatever. It's a lot of fun winning at the big league level, right? Like celebrating and getting on some nice runs. It makes the year so much more fun. So that's always just been the focus, and however we get there, then whatever.
Speaking of focus, what are the things you're kind of focusing on here in camp? Is it a particular pitch? Is it arm angle? And is there a conversation you've had with your pitching coach that's kind of really stood out so far?
Yeah, so I think, for me, the biggest separator from my previous years, so from 22 to 24 and my 2025 season was I threw a lot of strikes and I can command the ball very well, but my first pitch strikes were down from previous years. And that's a big factor for me to be successful is to be, obviously, I think for anyone to be successful, right? The more chances, the more times you are 0-1 than you are 1-0, you're going to be more successful. So that's, from that standpoint, that's been a big focus in camp so far. It's really attacking guys and getting aggressive in the zone early. And then also another one from a mechanical standpoint is pitching from probably a more natural slot. Sometimes I tend to climb a little higher than I normally do. I climb pretty high already, but sometimes I try to get even higher. And so being in a more natural slot, mechanically, those are, I'd say, the two focuses for me.
Nick, you know who makes the most this year on the Rays?
No.
It's you. So does that mean you're going to pay for all the dinners? Like, is that something where you sign a contract and you look at the contracts and go, oh crap. Like I'm paying for all the.
Yeah, I'm a big hang guy. So if the team's hanging, I'm there, and I'm not shy about throwing the credit card on the table and paying for stuff. So if the boys are down to have a good time, so am I, and I want to be a part of it. So yeah, I don't mind at all paying for dinners or any way the guys can get together.
What's your way of getting together? You say you sound like you're like kind of chill, like if everybody else wants to go. But what are some of the ways that you enjoy
I like
getting
to go
together?
to dinner. Big show dinners are always a lot of fun. It's starting to become a lost art, right? Guys are playing more video games now and traveling, and now everyone's traveling in sweatsuits, and it's kind of hard to land in the city, in sweatsuits and then go, hey, let's go to dinner, and have a show dinner when you got to wait for your bags, and then it's 10 o'clock at night by the time you get your bags and you can't go to dinner anymore. So I'm a big proponent, like kind of show flight, kind of dress up a little bit. I'm big on the drop and goes. Let's drop and go to dinner somewhere. And then, if it does turn out to be a late night, getting into the city late, and guys still want to hang out, my room's always open to hang out. Have a few adult beverages and
Some pops.
Yeah, some pops, and talk about the game or who we're about to play, or just shoot the shit with the guys. And on the off days, golf. I mean, I will do whatever for a hang. I got 3 daughters. I got a house full of girls. So if the boys are hanging, I'm there.
Yeah. Any excuse to get out of the house. Any excuse.
I love that. Hey, Nick, question for you, going back to the free agency period for a moment. How much activity was there? How many other discussions? I don't know if you want to list teams, but also just other creative situations where teams were like, I only want you to be a starter, reliever, or there were multi-year deals versus taking this kind of deal. Because I feel like you've had a unique process, not just this offseason, but the one before, where it's like, hey, sometimes the qualifying offer is the move.
Right. So this offseason, different from the rest in that it was just such a slow developing offseason for starting pitchers specifically. And the luxury of talking about roles and choosing teams wasn't like years before. It was as I signed like February 10th, I think. It was like right before I usually leave to spring training on the 10th, and so to me that's obviously really late. And so it was more of as soon as we got the amount of interest from the Rays that we got, it was really just kind of rolling with it and going. And then they're just communicating like they view me as a starter. They want me to start, but on my end, it's, hey man, if we're trying to win, then whatever you need me to do, I'm up for it. So this offseason was unique in that it was just slower, right? This slower developing, so we didn't have the luxury to talk about or choose from so many different teams, this or leverage teams to get to against each other, really, right? So it was really just running with the ball and joining the Rays.
Can you give us two people from camp that joining it you were really surprised of, besides the size of Yandy Diaz's biceps? Two people from Rays camp that you didn't know or hadn't really heard much of that you've been surprised with?
Yeah, I mean Yandy's an easy one, right? You see him like 60 feet 6 inches away. That's a huge human. But then you see him, in the gym.
Does he work out with a cutoff?
No, he
Oh,
works out
that's
with a
a
regular
shame.
shirt, and I mean I think he touches every weight that's in there. So yeah, he works out every day. Obviously. I say what Drew Rasmussen's got quadzillas. I mean, you guys got him coming on next. You're gonna have to separate these chairs a little bit.
All right.
Guy's got some massive legs. I'm also impressed with Mac. Shane just not pitching for 2 years, coming and pumping the zones at 97. He's throttling back at like 95. I'm giving every ounce I get just to hit 93. So I'm impressed with his journey back onto the mound, and his work ethic and stuff. I had Matsy as a throwing partner, and we're both excited about he's throwing today, so I'm excited to see what he's been working on here. But we were both excited about what the Rays are able to do and like kind of how they can take us to the next level. And so that's gonna be very exciting to even watch them today.
Nick, we really appreciate the time, man. Great to catch up with you. We always enjoy it.
Yeah, man.
Have fun the rest of camp. We'll talk to you during the year.
Yeah, sounds good. Thanks, guys. Yeah.
Thank
Good
you.
seeing man.
All right, you
Good
too,
luck
brother.
this
Yeah,
year.
thank you, man. Thank you.
That's Nick Martinez. By the way, we were beginning our conversation with him talking about Cal Raleigh against Randy Arozarena. I just want to put a cap on that too. So first off, in terms of the WBC, you can catch all of the games on Fox 1, and that includes today. The night slate is what we're showing you here. Team USA at 9 p.m. against Italy. And we will have a post-game show on the FT YouTube channel. But first, you can watch that game on the Fox 1 app. If you don't have it, 7-day free trial. Get hooked up. Because if you're looking around and you're like, oh, maybe I don't have cable now, 7-day free trial. Doesn't matter what you have. If you're in the US, scan the QR code and get after it to watch the final week, 1 week left of the World Baseball Classic. It has been freaking awesome. All right, and now also, if you'd like tickets for the World Baseball Classic, SeatGeek is the spot. You can use Territory 10 for 10% off tickets. They've got the 1 to 10 scale, so you can make sure that you're getting hooked up with the right deal in the right section. I'm actually also going to hit an Orlando Magic game coming up soon, so we'll head over to SeatGeek for a little bit of that as well, Kratz. And I know it's not getting as much love for a week here, but there are spring training games that you can get a hold of, and after the World Baseball Classic, if you're feeling a little bit low, there are still spring training games that you can get a hold of for about a week. They'll be about a week, and then that dips into the exhibition games at the ballpark, which is a good opportunity to find some good seats. And then, of course, opening day. If you're looking for your sold-out opening day seats, that's the spot too.
SeatGeek will help you because going to spring training is like an event. Like you're going down to spring training, and you rarely go to just one game. So you're like, okay, I want to go Tuesday here. I want to go beach Wednesday if you're in Florida. And then you can figure out where you're going to games Thursday, Friday. And you figure it out based on how close you are. You go Dunedin, you go Clearwater, you go Tampa. So it's super easy. And SeatGeek has it. You just change the queue on which day. Bangarang.
And of course, to recap the code for you, it is Territory 10. 10% off your next set of tickets at SeatGeek, 10% off any tickets with that promo code. Make sure you click the link in the description to download the app and have the code automatically added to your account so you can use it later. Money, money, money. This one snuck under the radar, but don't let it get past Erik Kratz, who is reporting live from Pennsylvania right now for more on the Phillies and Jesús Luzardo reaching an agreement on a 5-year extension worth $135 million. And Jeff Passan, along with the Phillies show host Jim Salisbury, on the scene to report that one. What do you think, Kratz? Jesús Luzardo swiped off the market now. This deal will start in 2027.
I mean, we did our own like preview or guessing who's going to be an extension candidate, and I had actually heard that with them not bringing Ranger back, there was conversations before about possibly extending Jesús Luzardo, and then it was like, well, okay, how amicable he is to a extension will kind of be whether or not they bring or really push for Ranger. And then Ranger obviously went away to Boston, and the Phillies keep their guy. Jesús Luzardo showed he was healthy. You know, I think there's any kind of stigma on pitchers that throw that hard from that size of body. You go, okay, is he going to stay healthy? He proved so much that he is the next valuable piece for the Phillies, which I think a team that's built to want to win the World Series, they need depth, but they need quality depth because you're not sure what you're going to get from Nola. You're not sure what you're going to get from Wheeler. So you need a guy right behind Christopher Sanchez. But also in a normal year, Jesús Luzardo might be the third best pitcher on this team. But they may need him to step up, and the fact that he's going to be here for be here in Philly for the next 5 years is tremendous. And I love that they did it in what would be his free agent year next year.
That's right. If he has a banger year, he would have gotten, I think, a good amount more, probably closer to the 200 range. But you eliminate some of that risk. He had some ups and downs last year. There was all the pitch tipping conversations that we had going on. But yeah, there's no doubt the stuff is there, and the Phillies want to make sure they've got the rotation in gear for this run that still includes Harper and Schwarber and Turner for a while. Okay, let us move right back to Rays camp. We're ready to go with our next guest live on FT. Drew Rasmussen joining us right now, sitting next to Kevin Pillar. Let's get to him.
Yeah. Hey, first off, Nick Martinez wasn't lying about the guy's quads. He called you Quadzilla. He said one of the most impressive things, that he was surprised when he came into camp was the size of your quads. You're either not wearing your pants tight enough because you hear Spencer Strider, Quadzilla. These things are massive. I did have to slide over. Secondly, he walked in when we were talking about Jesús Luzardo's deal, and he smiled cheek to cheek. And I said, just stay healthy.
and
everything will take care of itself.
Yeah, the stay healthy part, we're working on it every single day. So, yeah, thank you guys for having me. Excited to be here, excited to talk with you guys a little bit. Excited for you guys to be in Port Charlotte. Perfect day down here. Not too hot yet, but I got a feeling that's going to change.
When you talk about staying healthy, what are the things that you're doing behind closed doors, and how instrumental have the Rays been in trying to keep you healthy? And what have you changed maybe from last year going into the off season and what you're doing here in spring training?
First and foremost in the weight room, trying to be more efficient with how my day goes. More reps doesn't always mean better. I think for the longest time, I always, I joke about it now where I would say, if some is good, more must be better, but that's not always the case. As I've gotten older, maybe a little bit more efficient in the weight room, with my time and with my efforts. On top of it, the organization, they got me wearing one of the pulse trackers to track throwing stress, throwing volume. I think when it comes to trying to pay attention to workload in general, it was never the days that I felt really good or I don't feel so good that I'm able to manage workload. It's always the days I'm right in the middle. We always laugh about it, but in our bullpens here, for me at least, the really good bullpens and the really, really bad bullpens, I can shut off real quickly. Right. If on a day you're really good, you throw 15 quality pitches, we're good there. I touched it. I did what I needed to for today. On the days it's going horrible, I'm not getting any better anyway today. So I can step back and say, you know what, I think I'm good. But it's the days where I'm right in the middle where it's like, let's just keep throwing. We can figure something out here. And so I think the organization's been great about helping me just track workload and stress on the arm specifically. From that perspective.
Do you trust him? Or how long did it take you to trust him in that? Because you're a guy that you've just said it. You're going after it. You want to work harder. How long did it take for you to trust him? And was it like, okay, I'll try it this time, and if it doesn't work, nope, I'm back to my way?
Well, I mean, from the performance side of things, I mean, since the second I got here, it seems like everything they give me seems to work out. So that makes things pretty easy, right? When you take something that seems foreign, feels funny in your hand, especially when we're talking about new pitch shapes, new maybe usages or how often we're throwing certain things. They say something, I might push back a hair, I take it into game and, 2 or 3 starts in, you're like, hey, this is kind of working out for me at this point. And so I think the track record on the performance side speaks for itself here. It's not just me. I think you see a bunch of guys who come here and they find success. But the organization as a whole is great, man. The first thing they do is they want to get to know you as a person, right? And once we build that personal connection, then it's really easy to get you to buy into what we preach and how we preach it. And from the medical side and in the strength side, they give you the freedom to do what it is you want. But I think they're really, really good about putting up like bumpers on a bowling alley where it's like, hey, we're going to let you do some pretty extreme stuff. We're not going to really intervene until we believe that you're starting to go down a path that could raise some issues moving forward. And that's when they're going to step in. But I mean, they're very open. It's kind of an ongoing conversation with how I am physically. And they always meet me where I'm at. And from there, we have conversations about where it is we want to go and how it is we want to get the body feeling better or stronger or more mobile. And like I said, it's just kind of an ongoing conversation at all times.
Yeah. Speaking of staying healthy, and you mentioned pitch usage and different grips and
Yep.
pitch design. Have they implemented any of that stuff with you in this spring training in order to keep you healthy? Is that a reason they felt like maybe some of the health issues has popped up because of usage or grip or stuff? Or is it more about the physical side of things that maybe you were doing in the weight room or the lack of things that you were doing in order to take care of your body?
Yeah, I like I said, I always fell into the camp of I need to do more. I need to do more. You kind of get it, at least shoot, our generation got it beat into our heads, right? Like if I just work harder, everything's always going to work out. And at some point that just takes a toll on the body. So like I said, they've helped me become more efficient in what I do off the field so that I can be better at what I do on the field for a longer period of time. And so I don't necessarily think it has anything to do with pitch grips or what it is with pitch shapes and that kind of stuff. It's no secret, right? Velocity in the game is going up. And if you want to perform, the trade-off is potential health, or there is a potential trade-off of health for performance. And I mean, shoot, just me personally, the way I am when it comes to how I play this game, I'm going to perform to the highest level I possibly can. And if me getting hurt is the risk, I guess at this point I'm so experienced at being hurt that it's just one of those things that it's a risk I'm somewhat willing to take because shoot, they did a great job getting me fixed up the first couple of times and getting me back on the field and performing at a pretty high level.
Tell me the differences, but also the similarities. One difference, one similarity between Chris Hook, pitching coach for your big league debut with the Brewers. And I think you also had him in the minor leagues. Am I correct with the Brewers?
I missed Hookie in the minor leagues. He was
okay.
He'd already moved his way on up into the cushy seat before I got there.
Gotcha. So Hookie and Kyle Snyder, the Rays pitching coach, because both organizations have found value in great pitchers, but also found value in people who consider, the cast-offs.
Yeah. Both are great people. Like I said, I think relationships are probably the strongest foundation of how you get guys to buy into what you want them to do on the field. And both of them do a really good job of understanding who their guys are and what it is they like to do, how it is they like to go about their business. When I was with Hookie in Milwaukee, man, I was out of the bullpen and shoot, if you could text him, man, I guarantee you he would tell you I was probably the most stressful guy to watch day in and day out, right? You're just getting called up. You're trying to not get sent down. You're loving life in the big leagues. I was just put into the bullpen for my first time, and that's an experience in its own right. I didn't know what I was doing down there. I was nervous. I was anxious all the time. And so he was really having to manage me personally more so than, he was helping me from a performance standpoint and helping me, develop becoming a major league pitcher and all. But man, he was really having to manage who I was as a person and just the nerves and the anxiety that comes along with debuting and being fresh into the big leagues. And then when I got over here with Snides, you know, they're both really laid back, which I need, because man, I'll start circling and I'll start spinning in my own, you know, spinning my wheels. Um, but just the way they deliver their messages, man, it's incredible. And like I said, when you build the foundation that they do with the relationships, it's really easy to buy into what it is they want you to do on the field.
Yeah, you've been here a while, but
Yeah.
you also know part of being a Ray is there's a lot of turnover.
Yeah.
What do you like to do off the field, or how do you kind of get, you know, the 5-6 of you guys starters? What do you guys kind of do to kind of jive during spring training to become a collective unit?
Yeah, this group likes to fish and golf, and I'm not great at either, but I'll go. You know, I think that's kind of at least early on here, like you said, the group is so different year in and year out. But I mean, Pep and Mac, they can really swing the clubs. Mac likes to fish as well. We've gotten together with the Mats family a little bit away from the field. And then Nick's back and forth right now between here and Miami and seeing his family and that kind of stuff. And I'm doing the same. Mine's up in St. Pete right now. So, you know, when we're in town, yeah, we like to hang out. We talk in the clubhouse a lot. I found myself in the weird role of being the guy people ask questions to this year, which is, like I said, you know, I still look at myself as the young guy who's asking all the questions, but it's definitely a change. And you know, just trying to help them out and have, you know, get comfortable with how this organization operates. You know, there's just minor things every organization does a little bit differently. So if we can get them up to speed with what it is we do and how we go about it, you know, I think by opening day, that's going to put them in the right spot to have success moving forward.
You talk about teammates. One of your teammates a few years ago was Randy Arozarena. Did you see him get denied? And how did you view that, knowing Randy, but also how did you view that looking at it from Cal's point of view?
So I'm going to be like full transparency. Judge hit the homer in the first or second. And I said, all right, this one's over. I'm going to bed. So I didn't really see it actually happen in real time. Right. I mean, Captain America hops up there and hits a backside homer. Like, come on now. But you know, getting to play with Randy, man, awesome in the clubhouse. Loved it. Great get to see him again last year in Atlanta and actually spend some time with him. The little bit I've been around Cal seems awesome as well. I just, in the moment, it seems like what the typical protocol is. You go and you tap the catcher on the back or in the shinnies, and you're just like, all right, let's get this thing going. We're here to compete. So maybe just wrong time, wrong place, wrong time. And so that's all I got on it, man.
Hey, if it was you, what would you do? Because I mean, I don't think it was. I don't think it was.
If they come out to shake my hand, we're gonna get a free strike call. So life's good.
Of course. Well, my point, Drew, that's good. My point though is it's not that, because we've seen that. We even saw that earlier in the WBC with the Australia catcher. We saw that last time with Randy and Will Smith. Right? Guys get in game mode and they're like, "No, right now you're not my teammate." But Randy, after the game, had all kinds of comments. I don't know if you caught any of them, just kind of calling Cal out saying, I love your parents, but I'm mad at you. And there were some choice words included with that. So you know Randy well. Some people are like, he was probably just playing to the moment or getting really emotional, or is there a little bit of gamesmanship and drawing up more drama in the WBC? Like, what was Randy like on a day-to-day basis?
Talking about this is like a WWE script going on right now for if they match back up here coming up.
I like it.
No, I mean, Randy with us was always, you know, like high energy, big personality, great to be around, a lot of fun to watch. Like I said, I've only spent limited time around Cal, but he seems awesome as well. I got a feeling, I don't think it was, you know, Cal was probably behind the plate like, hey man, I'm working with my pitcher here right now. We got to get this pitch call in. We got to get on the same page. We've had limited time to work together as is. And so, yeah, I got a feeling, man, he was just locked into the game and that's what happened.
All right, Drew, last one from me. I talk all the time about how, you know, the draft is completely different than it is. And I think we'd be remiss if we didn't talk a little bit about your draft process, because I'll walk it through. You were drafted out of high school by the Diamondbacks. 39th round, did not sign. Then by the Rays in the first round, did not sign. Then by the Brewers in the 6th round the next year and did sign. The draft has changed a ton. Do you feel like your experience would have been alleviated had they, or would have been different had the draft been like it is now?
Well, I mean, realistically, we talk about my junior year in college, and guys who get drafted in the first round signed. I failed my physical. And the smartest organization in baseball did what they do, right? Like, let somebody else rehab him, we'll claim him on the backside. But it's just one of those things that, yeah, I mean, things are different now. I know there's less rounds for sure. I mean, there's a chance that if the system was the way it is now, I don't get picked up at all, right? You only have so many limited picks that, Milwaukee taking a shot on me in the 6th might not have worked out the same way that it did, oh gosh, 9 years ago? Is that where we're at now? Holy smokes.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's just one of those things where, I think everything has its time and place, and fortunate to be drafted by Milwaukee. I mean, the draft process, man, I was coming off my second Tommy John, and they just said, look, this is exactly how everything's going to go. And if, so long as you perform up to expectations, you can expect to, rehab the year of 2018. You can expect that if you're playing well, man, we want to get you to Double-A in 2019. And they stuck to their word, man. That organization was great. And I'm very blessed and humbled to have the opportunity to play for the Milwaukee Brewers. That was great. And then getting traded over here, just kind of a full circle moment. I do like to laugh with Shane because he got drafted. McClanahan got drafted in the spot that was for compensation and not signing me the year prior. And now the two of us are best friends, and life always has a way of working out. And it's just one of those things that, through the process, I got 2 organizations I love, 2 organizations I can root for, so long as we're not playing each other, and the opportunity to make a best friend, all because of, failing one physical.
I love that you said that, because in 2019, I was in big league camp with the Brewers.
Yep.
And I was this close in your first live. I don't think you weren't invited to big league camp, but you came over and you threw on the big league field against us. And I was this close to getting in that bat, and you got to your pitch count for whatever that was, if it was 25 or however much it was. But I remember standing there and I was like, this guy's had 2 Tommy John? Like, this guy's an absolute monster. I think you touched like 98 that day.
Yeah, in a live BP, man. I wish I could still do it, but I don't got that in live BPs anymore.
You looked exactly like you look now, in the sense that you're just smiling. You were happy to be out there. And I was like, I definitely want to take this guy deep, but he looks like he's so happy. And you ran out of pitches before I got to face you, so I never got to face you.
Brother, you're talking about 98, but could you imagine being the first hitters you're facing in 2 years, being big league guys, and you're just like, what do we got under the hood right now?
That's good. You did, from what I remember, you did good. But obviously,
yeah,
I was
just fine.
I didn't get in that bat.
Well, Drew, we can't thank you enough, man. This is my first time meeting you. I can't thank you enough for your thoughtfulness, your authenticity. You got a big fan of me. I hope that you stay healthy, and most importantly, for wearing your shorts down here.
Well, yeah,
check out the quads.
Here they are, fellas, in all their glory.
We got it. The quad cam. The quad cam's gonna have a sponsor to it soon. Yeah, there it is. Love it. Drew, you're the man. Thank you so much. Appreciate you. Good luck. We'll talk soon, okay?
Yeah, thanks, guys.
Be right back. We love HelloFresh. Shout out to them, and over 100 recipes to choose from each week to provide variety. They're the spice of life. They don't make it boring for you when you're preparing food. Also, there's 3 times the seafood for no upcharge. AJ, they wanted you to know that you can impress your guests or your family with new grass-fed steak ribeyes. And you can make meals with seasonal produce like pears, apples, and asparagus.
Well, listen, Scott, I'm trying to stay in my playing/fighting shape, so I need the seafood, I need the protein, and I need the veggies. And plus, I want to look cool when people come over and say, wow, you made all this stuff? And I'll be like, easy peasy.
A new slogan, HelloFresh, making AJ look good. So go to HelloFresh.com/FT10FM to get 10 free meals plus a free Zwilling knife, a $144.99 value on your 3rd box. Offer valid while supplies last. Free meals applied as discount on first box, new subscribers only, varies by plan. Because when dinner tastes this good, nothing hits like home cooking. Hey, the FT Spring Training Tour is engineered by Fastenal. Learn more information about the company at fastenal.com, Fastenal.com. This has been an awesome spring training tour, and props to Fastenal for helping to support us to make it happen. By far the biggest, bestest, longest one we've done. This is week 4 out of 5. After we're done at Rays camp, we head to Sarasota, Orioles camp, then Fort Myers for 2 days of camps, the Twins and the Red Sox. AJ's back tomorrow at Orioles camp. Next week, we'll finish up with the rest of the Florida teams besides the Yankees. The Yankees are being a little stubborn, so we're not heading over there. Anyway, let's get back to some news topics. So we talked about Jesús Luzardo. There's a signing that happened about 24 hours, maybe 48 at this point ago. A pitcher who I like, who I think is going to be a valuable member of the Nationals for a little bit, and then probably another team starting in July. Zack Littell signed a deal. I mean, it is what it is. The Nats are in a rebuild. They're going to sign this guy, trade him at the deadline if he looks like he did last year. And he looked really solid last year. ERA was 3.81 for the Rays and then the Reds. I mean, he chucked 186 and 2/3 innings last season. His deal with the Nats, $7 million guaranteed. Incentives can bring that up to 9.5. So Kratz, everyone kept mentioning him and Lucas Giolito. Giolito has not signed yet, but here's a guy who really struggled to find a job, and to me, it's a little bit confusing. I mean, the money's okay, but it took a really long time for him to land in a spot that ends up being a non-contender.
Yeah, I mean, you joked about it, but it's the best case scenario. Like, you put together whatever it is, 20, I think it's usually 22 starts by the trade deadline, and then you move on again. But I'm just confused, and I'm not sure why Zack Littell, one, has to wait that long, because he ended up ultimately getting a $7 million guaranteed contract. So what were teams were like, yeah, we're good. Like, we're good with our 5 guys. To me, that's where the mistake is. If a team is good with the 5 guys that they have, look at the successful teams. They're going 6-7 deep right now. Maybe Zach didn't want to be the 6th guy on a team. He wanted to make sure he was in that 5, in one of those 5 pitchers, because he has to continue to build his value. Even though he had a 3.8 ERA last year, he made all his starts the last 2 seasons. I'm confused at where the disconnect for him was, because he clearly wasn't like, oh, I'm holding out for a 2-year deal. But I'm confused at some of the teams that are really a little bit on that thin depth line that they couldn't have gotten Zack Littell for $10 million.
Yeah, he's 30 years old, and KP, I guess some teams not loving the StatCast page. I mean, he's one of the best in baseball on the control side. I mean, he doesn't walk anybody. The chase percentage numbers are really good. There is a lot of blue on the rest of the page. So obviously he's not a velo guy. His fastball velo is a tick under, it's 91.9, so a little under 92. Exit velo, barrel percentage, whiff and K percentage, those are some of the numbers. That's the more basic way of looking behind the scenes and under the hood for how teams evaluate pitching talent and project them going forward. To me, that's the only thing I could come up with here, but he's done a really nice job. 2 years now, sub-4 ERA, eating up innings.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, Scott, I tuned you out. After I read the headline, you started talking about under the hood and the analytics. I see 180 innings pitched. I see a sub-4 ERA. And I think about the place we were at yesterday in the Atlanta Braves, a team that probably needs more starting pitching. You don't think they would value a guy that can go out there and keep a ball game close and eat innings and turn it over to the bullpen? I don't think this is a guy, too. He doesn't strike me as a guy who was probably going into free agency asking for a 6 or 7 or 8 year deal, in the hundreds of millions of dollars. For this guy to have to wait this long to sign a deal, I think probably has something to do with what is looming next year, potentially. But it's crazy to me that you just see the numbers on paper, 180 innings pitched, 3.81 ERA. How this guy has to wait till the middle of spring training to find a job, and to find a job with a team that's not really even a contender. He's now just going there to perform and get traded and hopefully be flipped for prospect. It's crazy that in this day and age, we don't value things that should be valuable. I know that we have these, analytics and this entire other part of the game that we can try to project out. Hey, he doesn't throw hard enough, or he doesn't miss bats, or he doesn't get chased. What he does is get it done. So good for him for finally, getting some money and finding a home. But I expect this guy to be someone, in a couple months from now, we're talking about as maybe the most coveted starting pitcher free agent or not free agent, trade deadline acquisition, because what's going to happen a couple months from now, he's going to continue to get outs. He's going to continue to eat innings. He's going to put his team in a position to win, and he's going to be very valuable at the trade deadline.
From the player's point of view, the frustration for me, if I was in Zack Littell's shoes, I would say, what else do I need to do? Like, I'm not going to be a guy that's going to come out and throw 100 for 180 innings. Like, he's a guy that's going to throw a ton of strikes. He's going to get contact. Clearly, based on his numbers, it was weaker contact. And you get frustrated going through free agency saying, I can't change who I am. I can't get taller. I can't throw it that much harder. And you say, well, is this really is this what I have to keep dealing with every free agency period? I saw it in position players that were some of my buddies. Like, dude hits 290 with 15 homers and 50 RBIs coming off the bench, and he can't find a big league job the next year. And he's like, how frustrating is this, that I put together what is considered a good season, and then you don't find a big league job. And it's something that's like, I can't change who I am. So what's Zack Littell supposed to do? He's going to make some good money, and he's going to get traded to a contender. But that's just, it can weigh on a player for a little bit.
Yeah, keep shoving and proving yourself. That's all you can do. Keep run preventing. That's all you can do. All right, let's get to our next guest. Rays catcher Nick Fortes joining us right now. KP, take it away.
Yeah, hey, good to see you, man.
Good to see you.
How's everything going in camp so far?
It's going well. Starting to warm up a bit, which is, not the most exciting thing, but camp's going well. We're having a good time. Guys look good, so all's well.
When you think, sorry, Kratz, but when you think Tampa Bay Rays, it's kind of a pitching factory. Take us under the hood of the other side from the catching perspective, but also the hitting department, of how you feel like they've gotten you better.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, historically, they've been known for their arms and their, plethora of talent on the bump. That's no secret. So from a catching standpoint, what's preached to me is just get as much out of these guys as I can, whether it be setups or communicating, sequencing in between innings, looking at, their characteristics and their pitch strengths, and how can we implement that to get the most out of them. So there's a lot of communication that goes on behind the scenes with, our coaching staff and the analytics people who are there, tremendous at it. So it makes my job a lot easier. And then a lot of the same thing goes for the hitting side of it too. Our hitting coaches have helped me a lot. I feel really comfortable with them, and I just think that the communication is really, really good. And I think that they know how to tailor the analytics and the information to each guy really well.
Compared to being with the Marlins, compare the Rays, and we'll get into exactly what you do with the Rays, but compare it to being with the Marlins and how different it is for you.
Yeah, it was an adjustment for sure. I could tell coming into this organization, there was a lot of expectations and a standard because, Cashy's been here forever. A lot of the assistant coaches have been here forever. So it's a pretty established core of coaching staff. Compare that to Miami. I went through, 3 different managers there. There was a lot of turnover year over year. So getting to know new people every single year made it a little bit difficult from like a continuity standpoint. So coming in here, it was, nice to have like a set group of coaching staff that had been here a while and the culture has been set and all the guys understand that there's an expectation to win here. The Rays have done some really good things, over the course of history, and, being able to win every year without putting out, a high payroll team. So it's just a testament to how they do things operationally here. And it was kind of cool to step foot into the door of an organization like that.
All right, let's get straight to the receiving part of it. Because when I got traded over to the Rays, the reason the Rays wanted me was because I was good at receiving. And they were like, I want you to sit in the very middle of the plate. Our pitchers are going to throw the ball in. Do they still call it the pot of gold? What do they call it? What's their vernacular?
I think nowadays it's just middle.
Okay. That they called it the pot of gold. They were like, this is where the money's made. Middle of the plate, down off, let it move. Does that diminish some of your receiving value in the sense that maybe with the Marlins you worked a little bit more of the corners? And if it did, do you feel like you have enough pushback, or do you definitely dive into it and say, okay, I agree with it, it's the best for the pitchers?
Yeah, I mean, I'm all for whatever makes the pitcher comfortable. Each guy is different. There are certain guys that like to shade a little bit more than others. And then there's certain guys that are like, I want to see you just right down the middle. So it's all dependent on the guy. But, I think that receiving is still good. Receiving numbers can still be attained even if you set up on the heart of the plate. I take a lot of pride in that, and I do a lot of work, with Tomas and the guys, of working misfires and setting up down the middle and being able to catch those balls to the best of my ability. So the expectation for me is to still be able to put up good numbers behind the plate receiving wise. But yes, it's a little bit more difficult, but I think, like I said, it just depends on the guy, because there's certain guys like Ras that you just spoke to that can move the ball around really well, and he likes to be able to go back and forth. Or you got a guy like Joe Boyle that, he's got electric stuff and he wants to see the big part of the plate. So it's just from guy to guy, it varies a little bit.
Have you thought about this, setting up in the middle of the plate with the ABS system? Do you think it's going to give you a better vantage point of maybe some of those borderline misses kind of being over the heart of the plate? And what are those conversations like, with your pitchers and maybe your catching coach and the organization about how you guys are going to implement those from, is it strictly going to be catchers, or are pitchers going to have the freedom to challenge as well?
Yeah, we're still feeling it out. I mean, I'm pretty sure that there's a consensus that, having the pitchers challenge is not the most ideal scenario.
Too much ego?
Yeah, exactly. The emotions behind it. But yeah, I think it's going to be primarily from the catcher or the hitter when we're up to bat. But like certain scenarios, still feeling it out. Like, when is the best time to do it? When can you afford to let, a call slide? So that's something that's probably going to have to be adjusted, as we get more familiar with it. But as far as setting up down the middle, it's going to have to force a little bit more awareness on my part, of where the corners are. Because if I'm set up down the middle and I, catch a pitch that's off my body, I'm going to have to know where my edges are, and have to be a lot more aware of like how far I'm reaching to be able to know if a ball, clips or if it doesn't. So yeah, it's gonna take a little bit more time and a little bit more spring training starts to be able to get a better feel for it. But yeah, it's an adjustment for sure.
Are you good at it?
I've only challenged. So our system right now is, you can challenge, they want you to exhaust your challenges during the spring. But, if you think that there's a pitch that's close and you don't feel like challenging, you just tap your glove and then they let you know if it's a strike or a ball. And so far, I think I've done pretty well with it. I've only missed a couple, and the ones that I have missed, they're like those razor blade misses that are like right off the edge, which are going to be tough to tell during the year.
What is the hardest part of the zone? Top, bottom, sides?
I would say it's the top. I would say it's the top for sure, because obviously it's the top and bottom are both floating depending on how tall the hitter is. So, a guy could walk up that's 6 foot and his zone is, right here. And then the next guy comes up, he's 6'3", it floats up a little bit higher. So, I mean, it's tough, the top and bottom. The corners stay the same, obviously, but the top and bottom, personally, I think it's a little more difficult with the top, because sometimes if I'm catching a ball over my head, it feels really high to me. But if, Aaron Judge is up to bat, it's going to probably be a strike because he's so big. So that's going to be the biggest adjustment, I think, is the top.
Tell me what you've seen out of Shane, because a couple years ago, you had a left-handed pitcher walking around camp that, a lot of people were considered maybe the best pitcher in baseball, where he was trending towards being the best pitcher in baseball. What have you seen out of him, and how excited are you to have him back?
I'm really excited to have Shane back. I faced him quite a bit, throughout my time with Miami playing the Rays every year and even a little bit in the minor leagues. He's always had unbelievable stuff, but I never knew him as a person. And now getting traded over here, getting to know him and the competitor he is, like it's insane. Like he's so determined. And, I was talking to him the other day. He's like, we've never missed the playoffs while I'm, in the rotation, and I don't expect it to be any different now that I'm back. And that's just like his mindset. He's so confident and he's so eager to win. And I think that having a piece like that in your rotation and in your clubhouse, it raises the bar for everybody else. So, I mean, getting to know him, he's an incredible competitor, and I can't wait to watch another full season of him, hopefully.
All right. You gotta shoot us straight here. We always say that the East is really good in the NL and the AL. Which division is better, the NL East or the AL East?
I mean, I think right now it's the AL East for sure. I think there was a time to when maybe the NL East was a little bit better, but I think it's starting to shift a little bit, especially with all the big name signings that have been going on in this division. So I think that for a time it was the NL East, and playing with Miami, that's, I thought that it was the best, but now with being with the Rays and getting to see, what the division is shaping into now, I really think it's the AL East for sure.
All right. Did you see? If I was on site, I would have reached out my hand for a handshake. I wanted to see if you were going to shake it. Did you see the Randy Arozarena and Cal thing from yesterday?
Oh yeah, I did.
How would you have handled that? How would you have handled it in the sense that you're with the team? You would be with the team the entire time, and I'm trying to think, Yandy Diaz and you are playing against each other in the WBC. Do you shake Yandy's hand, and how do you feel like Cal and Randy handled the entire situation?
I don't know. I think everybody's different. I've never played in the WBC before, so I can't really tell you what the emotions are like in that environment. I can imagine they're very high, and everyone's, passionate about their country and they want to win. And I don't know. And I don't know Cal Raleigh personally. I don't really know Randy personally either. So I don't know the dynamic there at all. I know for me, like I know myself, and I'm a pretty personable guy. So I, probably would have just, shaking his hand, but that's just me. Everybody's different. And like I said, I've never been in that environment before, so I can't speak to, to what that is like. So
tell me a little bit about your off season, things you wanted to work on hitting wise, and how excited are you to be back in the Trop, and maybe the difficulties of playing an entire season, in a minor league ballpark, especially under the lights that we know are not major league lights.
Yeah. I mean, Planet Steinbrenner was tough, just because obviously the atmosphere it's not, like a big league atmosphere. So it'll be exciting to get back into the Trop. I'm excited about it because obviously getting to play indoors again in Florida is going to be nice. It got hot over there in Steinbrenner, but they've done some really good renovations to it. We went over there for Fan Fest, and it looks great, new turf and some upgrades. So I think it'll be good for both the players and the fans too. So I'm looking forward to that.
Is the roof slightly different color?
Yeah.
Or is it still, I mean, I drove by it the other day. It doesn't seem to be as white. Is it the inside look any different?
Yeah, I think the new panels that they put on are a little bit darker because they haven't been weathered by the sun yet. So the some of the panels I think that were still intact were a little bit whiter, and then the new ones are a little bit darker because I don't think the sun's gotten to them yet. But it kind of looks cool. It's looks like a pizza up there now.
You did play a game in the Trop before when you were with the Marlins, correct?
Yes.
Whose air conditioning is better, Miami
or no?
Trop?
I would say Tropicana for sure, because I think Miami, it was a retractable roof, and a lot of times they would open it sometimes during BP and then close it back up for the game. So a lot of that hot air stayed inside. But the Tropicana field, it doesn't retract, so that air is just constantly pumping at all times, so it gets nice and cool in there.
Love that.
Well, we can't thank you enough for coming on. Stay healthy. Enjoy the air conditioning back in the Trop, and have a great year.
I appreciate it, KP. Thanks for having me, guys.
Thank you, Nick.
Yep, of course.
Hey, we're back. Okay. Big news, actually, breaking during the show. Let's run it. Surgery for Hunter Greene. He's going to have bone chips removed from his elbow on Wednesday. He is not expected to make his season debut until July. Dang. The Reds have been able to gather a very strong collection of arm talent, led by Hunter Greene. And Kratz, he's going to miss half the season. How much does this hurt a team that feels like it needs to have the little things go right to win at the margins and make the playoffs? Like, let's be real. This is not a projected 95-win team. This is a team that you feel like is borderline for postseason, just like they were last year. They have some depth, but this is a huge blow for them to lose Hunter Greene for a huge chunk of time to start the year.
They're not losing some of their depth. They're losing their number one guy. And I believe truly that some of the other guys will step up. I've always looked at Nick Lodolo and said, wow, like this guy is going to do things. I think Andrew Abbott has had some spurts of like ridiculousness, but you look at the rest of it there, Brady Singer's going to make all 32 of his starts. Rhett Lauder and Chase Burns, if those are the two guys that they go with because they were kind of in competition for that fifth spot before, and if they both make the team, there's just not a lot of experience. Does it mean that they won't do well? No. It just means that a team that I felt like last year was going to take the next step and win the division. I thought the division was up for grabs, and they still made the playoffs, but, you know, you take Hunter Greene out of that mix for longer than he missed last year. I think he missed 8 starts last year. You're looking at almost half of his starts this year. So if you're looking at Brady Singer makes 32, so possibly 16 starts, that's tough. That is tough, and it puts a lot of pressure on Rhett Lauder and Chase Burns to step up and just give you quality innings right out of the jump. Unless they have somebody else, unless they have another depth piece that they feel like could step up, but then that person would have also been in the running with the other two guys. Basically, that's why you wanted a Zack Littell to go back to the Reds. I mean, teams will constantly be picked up, you know, we'll constantly talk about teams that, oh, well, this could have been a case where you don't have 2 rookies essentially making their first full season debuts, or, you know, Lucas Giolito, who's still out there on the market. Now you can kind of push just one of those guys. And if they both do well, great. That's a great problem to have. But with Hunter Greene out, this is massive for the Reds.
Yeah, and he was feeling this, KP, going into the end of last season. So when he spoke about it a week ago, he said final 5 or 6 starts. He had just pushed through it for the playoff push, and they needed it. And then he got an injection, and so he was just buying time, and it did not react well here in spring training. So it's not TJ, which he's had already. It's not UCL damage, but still, bone chips knocking a pitcher like this out really sucks for this team.
Yeah, it's just always unfortunate timing because, you know, what the Reds were able to do down the stretch last year and get into the playoffs, he obviously wanted to be a part of that. Get a chance to experience the playoffs and start in those games, especially back home in Dodger Stadium where he grew up. But it's just unfortunate timing. You know, if this is something that, and it's hard because these guys take so much time off from pitching after that last game, and their arm probably feels pretty good, and they start to build up a little bit, and it feels pretty good, and then they throw their first bullpen, and it feels okay, and then a couple of days later, they're like, oh man. And a lot of people at home, a lot of fans are like, why didn't he get it done in the offseason? And in a perfect world, he probably would have, but it didn't really show up until, you know, recently, and it's really unfortunate for them. But on Kratz's point, I faced Nick Lodolo in 23 when I was with Chicago White Sox, or sorry, 24 when I was with the Chicago White Sox. That is the closest thing I've seen to Chris Sale in terms of uniqueness and arm angle and size. I think the sky's the limit for him. I think it's only a matter of time. We're talking about this guy as being one of the better upper tier left-handed pitchers in our game.
Yeah, that's high praise, but it makes sense. I mean, this season, or this past season, we really saw it, right? Because he had trouble staying on the field. That was the knock. He was on his way.
Yeah,
156 and 2/3 innings is pretty close to what you're going to get these days from a starter.
Yeah, when healthy, it is very unique. You talk about the uniqueness factor of facing guys and how the technology's changed and traject. I guarantee you, I've been on the traject. There's no preparing for a guy like him. It's something that it's hard to recreate. Yes, when you see him a little bit more, much like the Chris Sales of the world, there's a little bit more comfort. But when you're talking about him showing up to a team that's never seen him before, it is a nightmare of an at-bat. I think he hit me in the back foot on a slider, and much like Chris Sale, it feels like it's almost starting in the other's batter's box, and then next thing you know, it's off your back foot. Like, it is that unique. It can be that special. He just needs to stay healthy. And I don't know him personally. I don't know anything about him, but when he really starts to believe he can become a version like Chris Sale, I really do I do think very highly of him. And I think he's a guy at some point this year, we're talking about being an elite left-handed starting pitcher.
Yeah, at a 3.3 ERA, 3.33 ERA last year, pitching for the Reds. Some fans in the chat also mentioning how they're excited to see the next step for Rhett Lauder. Okay, yeah, certainly would love to see that too. Saw 30 innings from him last year. A lot more on this what, Kratz?
Why no. I love his arm.
Yeah.
I just hate to see two rookies, essentially. I know they're not I don't know what their rookie status is, but two young guys needing to solidify two of the spots. The best lane is that both of those guys can fill one spot. Not that somebody's going to get hurt, not that somebody's going to do bad, just that it gives them a different leeway into having success for the entire season for the whole team.
You're talking about Rhett Lauder and Chase Burns now,
yes,
filling rotation spots, most likely for the Reds to start the year. Yep, that's fair. That is fair. The division should be tough. I mean, the Pirates should be better. The Cubs, I think, will be better, and they were pretty good last year. The Brewers should still be the Brewers. They have not been affected too much by turnover over time. They're certainly not going to be a bad team. The Cardinals are the one team where you're like, they're going to take a step back. How much of a step back, though, I'm not sure, right? How different will they be from last year's team? I'm not sure. So you're going to have to find wins somewhere in that division, and this certainly hurts the Reds. Anyway, you can learn more about this injury. See Trent Rosecrans and Danny Graves running Riverfront territory, part of the FT Network, your all-access pass to the Cincinnati Reds. Danny, of course, can speak on the pitching side, the Reds Hall of Famer. And see Trent covering the team every day. He's out there in camp with the team in Arizona. Boo, BetMGM Locks. Sucks. I got hooked yesterday, Kratz. Venezuela by 4. Damn it. Tried to get cute. I know, we all lost. Our first locks of the year. Beautiful. You know who I felt came closest was actually KP, Bobby Witt. Put a little juice on that one.
Yeah, he didn't quite win me the bet, but I think the idea behind the bet was, hey, these guys are competitive, right? You see Gunnar Henderson come in, play shortstop, get 4 hits. I mean, what a game. And I think he just missed hitting a home run in that game too, but that was an unbelievable performance by Bobby Witt. So although I put the money out there and I didn't receive any back, I think the idea behind the bet was I had good intentions.
Okay, I'm with you.
Basically, you said, well, that's what I meant to say, was he was going to do good. So we'll check with BetMGM, see if we can have a do good over under.
Even money on do good.
Okay. Or hey, he's going to hit the ball over 300 feet today.
I mean, yeah.
Let's see what you have for us tonight. So we have another few games tonight in the WBC. You don't have to pick the Team USA game, but you certainly can. Where are you going tonight, KP?
I took Team Israel. It was kind of slim picking in terms of, individual bets at this point. So I just took Team Israel to win today. I know they've kind of already sort of accomplished their goal of winning a game in this pool and not having to qualify for the next one. But I do like their lineup. They do have a mixture of big leaguers on that lineup. I think they go out and they play hard today and they find a way to get a win.
I think the Netherlands are hungry. So I think the Netherlands are going to win, and I parlayed that with the home team in Puerto Rico. I don't know if they're actually the home team, but they're playing in their home country, and they are feeling it right now. So I'm going against both of you guys, but I'm parlaying that for plus 128.
I'll take Canada. I think they've got some nice platoon advantages tonight. I think the plus 200 piece for me looks intriguing. This team actually had a little more hype than they've delivered on the field heading into the tournament. There's still a chance for them to prove that. So I think Canada has a shot tonight to handle Puerto Rico. Puerto Rico team that's certainly been playing well, but they've already advanced too. So that's part of it. Right?
Yes.
Doesn't that change things a little bit? I mean, Edwin Diaz isn't pitching tonight.
It does. It does. And I think Canada's hungry. I think they need this win, if I'm not mistaken.
I think they need to win, and I think they need I think they need a run differential too. So, with Puerto Rico, I think Canada needs to win, obviously, but I also think they need to go out and score a lot of runs in order to have a chance to advance.
Yeah, so Puerto Rico, like I mentioned, they already are in. They beat Cuba last night 4-1, and like I mentioned, Diaz pitched already, so he's not going to pitch. He's got some restrictions too, as all of them do. So for Canada, they're 1-1 in pool play. They lost to Panama. That was the big issue for them, is they lost to Panama. They were favored to win that one. They beat Colombia. So tonight against Puerto Rico, you've got. Let me see what the scenario is. I'm trying to find it on MLB. I guess they have to win. That would put them in a tie, I believe, with Cuba. Then they'd both be 2-1. And I think they still have one game left to go. So there's more to go there. I'm not going to spend 10 minutes trying to figure out the qualifying situation right now. But all you have to know is things do get crazy. Korea had to win by 5 runs yesterday. We talked about that yesterday. That was cool. All right. There's our locks for the day. Check them out. Also, make sure you go to your BetMGM account to get yourself a little odds boost token. There it is. You can score a bigger payout that way. About a week left of World Baseball Classic, and you can bet on all of those games on BetMGM.com or on the app. Gambling problem or concern, there's help. Call 1-800-GAMBLER. We also have World Baseball Classic post-game coverage after every USA game. So that includes tonight. Tonight's game's at 9. So we'll be on live on the FT YouTube channel after that game. Tomorrow, Dominican Republic, Venezuela is going to be nuts. We're on after that game tomorrow. Then back to the US status, like Friday's game for the US, which would be the quarterfinal. So you can catch all of that on the FT YouTube channel. We'll be right back with Ken. Here it is, the Inside Scoop with FT Senior Insider Ken Rosenthal. Ken, great to have you on. And how was the game? So to me, it was like the tune-ups and then the real stuff, the good stuff, starting with U.S. and Mexico, and ended up only being a 2-run win for Team USA. What were your takeaways?
Scott, you're absolutely right. It was as if last night was the first real game. They had 2 exhibitions against the Rockies and the Giants. Then they had the first 2 WBC games against Brazil and Great Britain. They outscored their opponents by 53-11 in those games. So those were the tune-ups. And Mark DeRosa told his players before last night's game, listen, in Phoenix in 23, the crowd was against us when we played Mexico. Get ready. It's game on. And it was. Now, it was 5-0 for quite a long time in this game, but Mexico rallied. It got quite intense toward the end. And my biggest takeaways were just the absolute star quality on Team USA. It's on a nightly basis kind of astonishing to see this team in action. Aaron Judge with the 2-run homer and the throw. Roman Anthony with the big homer. Bobby Witt Jr. all over the field, offensively, defensively, on the bases. It can be a different guy every night, and that is what is so special about this team. Oh, and I forgot the starting pitcher, Paul Skeens. He was pretty good too. So just a great effort all around from Team USA last night, and we might see a line change again tonight. We might see Gunnar Henderson and Pete Crow Armstrong and some of the other players who were not in the lineup last night, because that's how deep they are and that's how good they are. It's just kind of a cool thing to see these guys all together as one. And it's also cool from other teams' perspectives too, to see the Dominican Republic and the star quality that they have. So I love this tournament, and so far it's been a lot of fun, and it's only going to get better from here.
We can see what they're doing on the field. What are you hearing in the locker room? The conversations, like, do the guys sound different? You interview these guys throughout the years leading up to this, but do you hear a different type of conversation on Team USA?
Yes, and it's interesting, Erik. When you talk to the players, they are all not only excited to wear USA on their chest. That is a given, and of course, we're all proud of our country. But what really gets these guys going is the ability to have high-level baseball conversations with each other. It is what Tarek Skubal cited in saying how difficult it was to leave this team, go back to Lakeland. He may come back for the semifinals and finals in Miami, but his point was these conversations we're having are amazing. Now, last night, I don't know exactly what happened after the game, but the players did not come out for the longest time. In fact, they pushed back their buses, Erik. So they were in there. It seems to me, I don't know this for a fact yet, but what else could they have been doing but talking baseball? Now, years ago, when you guys played, when you started your careers anyway, players routinely did that. They'd hang in the clubhouse after a game. There was no rush to go home. But over time, that has changed. Now players kind of leave, go back to their rooms, play video games. They're sort of afraid to go out because of social media and all the things that they might encounter. So last night, I don't know, again, the details yet. I have to find out when I get to the park, but it seemed like it was throwback Monday at the WBC with the guys kind of just hanging with each other, including the coaches. And it was quite amazing. The reporters hung there and hung there and hung there, and eventually most of us just left.
Hey, do you think they could have been talking about maybe potentially how to handle handshakes at home plate?
Kevin, I don't know. I didn't see that last night, to be perfectly honest. I didn't catch it until after the game when I saw it on the social media channels, all the different people speculating on what happened. And I know it's been a talking point today, and I imagine I'll be asking and others will be asking Cal Raleigh about that when we get to the park. There was a situation the other night in one of the other games where it was very similar, where the catcher did not shake the hitter's hand, and it looked like the catcher was simply, or he said afterward, that it was simply he was in competitive mode and he wasn't into it. But maybe something else happened there. I saw someone speculate that Cal Raleigh didn't want to get pine tar in his hand. Who knows? But it's something that will be probably asked tonight.
Do you think it will be easier to get the entirety of the story once Cal is actually interviewed? And what do you anticipate kind of that lineup looking like when Cal shows up to the field today? Because it's a huge story in baseball. We're here at Rays Camp. We asked the guys, some of the guys were talking about, it seemed like a WWE script that people are talking about in the clubhouse right now. Obviously, I think it's great for the game. I think it shows that it's more than an exhibition game. But I think we'll have probably some more clarity once Cal answers some questions.
Yes, I'm sure we'll get more clarity once we hear from Cal. And obviously, it's a talking point. And in this day and age, it's just always amazing to me how these things become big talking points when there's a lot else going on. But I do understand it, too. And it was unusual. These guys are teammates with the Seattle Mariners. But again, it's kind of pointless to speculate until we hear from Raleigh what actually happened. And I don't know what happened. We'll have to find out.
Did you hear Randy's reply to what happened?
No, what was that?
Randy's reply was that he basically said to F off, and he said it in 3 different languages. He said Mexican, Spanish, English, and he first said he
Spanish
really appreciated it. Yeah. I know. Those are his words. Basically, he told him to go to hell, and he said he can shove it straight up his ass. I'm out. Giving you the Cliff Notes version.
Yeah, Ken, sorry, this part got added in late here as we talked about it during the show. So to me, it's like not that big a deal. And then Randy kind of, speaks post-game and lays this all out.
That changes the whole story. And if indeed that was what he said, yes, we have to find out from Cal what prompted that and what that exchange was rooted in. I don't know.
Yeah, because he did. Oh, go ahead, Kratz.
You guys buried the lead there.
That's what I was saying. I was like, tap me back in, coach. You got to give Ken the context, because otherwise I'm like, it's not that big a deal. It's like whatever. But then when Randy says stuff post game, and Ken, you've covered Randy for years, emotional guy, entertaining guy. Some people are like, I can't tell if he's kidding, but he definitely laid it out pretty good. Buddy's smiling. He was giving credit to Cal's family, so it was kind of all over the place. And people just want to know, like, are we good? Are they good? Or did he actually blast him?
Well, again, this is something we have to find out today.
Yeah, exactly.
Have you seen any difference in the coaching staff? Mark DeRosa's second chance. Has he been able to navigate or even just more, because you're on the inside with the conversations with him. Do you feel like there's a difference in the sense that he has a little bit more confidence or ability to navigate the difficult pitching that he wasn't able to totally navigate the first time through?
He's definitely more relaxed. He has said that it's easier the second time as far as the speed of the game and all the things that new managers always face when they take over. And he's more accustomed as well to the pitching restrictions and those conversations that are taking place with the players' major league clubs. Not that it's any easier for him. There are certain challenges that come with that. We've discussed it. But on the whole, he seems in a better place than he was last time. Not that he was in a bad place. He was fine. But he just seems more relaxed. Like, that's probably the best way to put it. And you can see even in the interviews I do with him during the games, he's not tense. He's confident. I remember in the Great Britain game, they were down 1-0, and he basically told me, we're fine. We're hitting some balls hard. We're going to get our runs. And AJ Przinsky, who was in the booth that night, said afterward, well, he's got to be nervous a little bit. They're down. But he did not let on. And Mark DeRosa, when he acts like he's not nervous, he's not nervous. If he's nervous, we would probably know.
Hey, there's no denying that Aaron Judge is the captain of this team. Is there someone on the pitching side that you feel like is kind of the leader of the pitching staff? Is it a guy like Paul Skeens, who was kind of the first guy to be asked, even though he's a young guy, he's kind of the leader of the pitching staff?
Yes, it's definitely Skeens. And DeRosa has said more than once that the whole idea here was to get Judge to be the point man for the position players and Skeens to be the guy that has that same kind of quality for the pitching staff. And once those guys committed, and they committed early, then other players were interested in joining the team as well, perhaps more interested than they might have been otherwise. I want to play with Aaron Judge. I want to play with Paul Skeens. So I don't know that Skeens is a vocal leader per se, but he certainly is someone others look to. And as I said, these baseball conversations that are taking place all the time, it's something that these guys cherish and they've had a great time with. So definitely Skeens would be that guy.
What has been your interaction with Skeens and Griffin Jax and their military background? We saw them buy the tickets for the servicemen and women. What has been your interaction when you talk with those guys while they're on Team USA about what it means to be in this USA uniform?
There's definitely a different feeling for them than there is for other players simply because of their military background. And Skeens has said from the beginning that he's doing this for the servicemen and servicewomen around the world. He talked about this last night on the broadcast, how this is bigger than baseball. It's bigger than them. He knows that people in the armed services around the world are watching, and he's well aware of that, and he wants to represent properly. And Griffin Jack's the same. And as you said, Erik, those guys combined to buy something like 50 tickets for the Air Force baseball team's traveling party, which includes military officers, by the way. And those guys were at the game last night. They obviously had a great time. So for both those players, this has a special meaning, a meaning even beyond what it would mean, say, for Bryce Harper and Kyle Schwarber and Aaron Judge. They have that sense, that feeling from being at the Air Force Academy, that it just gives you a different perspective, put it that way.
Let's go to Tarek Skubal, who decided not to come back for another start. There was some speculation that he might, and his exact quote from the beginning was, "I tried to make it work, but I just couldn't." Do you have any more insight on that in the sense of what does tried to make it work actually mean?
What it means is that he tried to figure out a way with his schedule where he could stay on his normal routine or something close to his normal routine and still be able to pitch in the WBC final, which was what he was slated for if he stayed with the club, and opening day. And it just didn't work out for him. And he was definitely torn by it. I remember after the Great Britain game, when we talked to him, you could see and hear just how torn he was. And yesterday, the same. He said he hated that he made this decision, but at the same time, he felt because this is the time of year where the data shows that pitchers are much more susceptible to injuries than at other times of the year, that he had to take care. He's entering his free agent years. So the way it worked, Erik, if he had pitched on 4 days rest in Lakeland after his last outing, and if he had pitched then again on 4 days rest in the WBC final, it could have worked that way. Then it would have screwed him up for opening day. And the other part of this is the Tigers don't want him pitching on 4 days rest at this time of year. And he doesn't want to be pitching on 4 days rest at this time of year. That's not how these guys ramp up for the season. So I understood this from the beginning. And I guess if Skubal knew then what he knew now when he made the decision to join the team, then maybe he would have set his schedule differently. And maybe it all could have lined up better. But he is in a very unusual position. Like we've talked about, guys, it's his free agent year. He stands to make perhaps $400 million. And you can understand why he would want to take care of himself. And I know people are criticizing him and questioning this. And I wrote the other day, I don't see it. I don't see why he should be criticized. He did pitch once. I know it was against Great Britain, but he did something that very, very few pitchers, in fact, I couldn't find any, who were from the U.S., were entering their free agent years and pitched in the WBC before. It hasn't happened. He did it. So to say he should have done this, this, and this, we're talking about one more start, I don't know that that's necessarily fair, given all the nuance here and all the circumstances surrounding it.
Ken, let's finish with this. I want to spin it forward. What do you have for us tonight? So we'll get again on Fox, the U.S. this time taking on an Italy team that has plenty of big leaguers. Sure, it's not the same talent level as the U.S. team, but this was I want to emphasize what I said to you at the beginning. This ended up just being a 2-run win for the U.S. They did not blow out their opponent in their first test. This could be another test where they'll face big league pitching, and it's a lineup that has plenty of big leaguers who can mash. So what do you think about this one? Could it be a tough test and a potential upside opportunity?
Absolutely it can be. Now, it's going to be a challenge. And Italy's starting Michael Lorenzen. Michael Lorenzen, of course, is a major league veteran of 11 seasons. He is or has been teammates with a number of players on Team USA. He's not going to be afraid, but it's going to be a challenge for him. There's no question about that. Now, the lineup is, in my view, not what Mexico's lineup is. Mexico's lineup was full of major leaguers. Italy's is younger. There's Pasquantino, there's Mastrobuoni, there's a few others, but there's some interesting young, fast players that they have on their team. Dante Nori, Phillies prospect, is one. Andrew Fisher, Brewers prospect, is another. These guys can play. They're interesting, for sure. Can they beat the U.S.? Any team can beat any other team. We know this on any given day. It just seems to me that what we've seen so far is eventually the U.S. talent just wears the opponent down. And their ability to take pitches and just grind through opposing staffs, it's what defines this team. And for that reason, I would expect that they're going to win. Now, if they don't win, and then Mexico beats Italy tomorrow, you have 3 teams tied at 3-1 in Pool B, and we'll go to the tiebreaker. That would be interesting. I just don't expect it to happen.
Yeah. And again, we would look back at the U.S. winning by 2 runs here. So it's crazy scenarios, but just preparing everyone just in case. You never know. There have been upsets in the WBC. Ken, enjoy the night, the later game too, at 9 o'clock, Fox 1, Fox as well. Appreciate you. Have fun.
Thanks, guys.
That's FT Senior Insider Ken Rosenthal. Fair territory twice a week on the FT Network. Lots of WBC coverage right now coming your way from Ken and Grillin' Ken always to get your questions in for Ken during that show. Across government agencies and defense operations, precision and accountability are critical. Fastenal delivers both. With secure supply solutions, a nationwide service network, and a strong commitment to compliance, we help teams streamline readiness.
From facility maintenance to tactical gear to everyday essentials, you get what you need reliably, securely, and on time. Fastenal, strengthening the infrastructure that protects us all.
Want to learn more? Visit fastenal.com for industrial supplies and innovative solutions. That's FASTENAL.com. Hey, here we go. Let's slap. KP, great 2-day stint for you down in Florida at the spring training camps. You were awesome, and we'll have you back obviously soon on FT, but also want to give a shout out to the show that just launched a couple weeks ago for everyone to remember to press subscribe right now. Actually would be nice, everyone in the live chat, hundreds in the live chat right now, if you could just go to Bluebird territory. KP?
Yeah. Please subscribe. Me and Ricky and Mitch been having fun doing it. I finally got a chance to go see the new complex in Dunedin. It's amazing. Got a feel for what the guys are going through in spring training right now, and I expect them to get back to where they were at last year. And we're just going to ride their coattails throughout the season, man. We're going to get very consistent once the season starts, but we've been enjoying ourselves very much.
There it is, Bluebird territory, QR code on the screen to subscribe for free. Apple, Spotify, YouTube, the whole deal. On our way out here, Kratz Hatz.
I mean, I got to wear my Rays hat. This year's spring training, obviously the sick insignia, which everybody sees on the side. But don't miss the underneath. There's a little things there. Right now you're in Charlotte County. That's where they're at, and they have the hat. New Era killed it this spring training. We'll be seeing quite a few more.
Very nice. I like it. You'll be seeing Kratz, me, Todd Father, tonight, late night. We'll be recapping, post-gaming, the World Baseball Classic USA game against Italy. Late espresso shots for Kratz and Todd Father, and definitely me. After USA against Italy, all on the FT YouTube channel. Thanks, everyone. And then tomorrow we'll be at Orioles camp with AJ back there. See you then.